argument about what was delivered and what wasn't.
Yeah. I could literally.
I mean, it takes 2 seconds to look at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you provided it like as a link or email, and you prove that that email was sent to them, and then you only had to sign in that one thing, and you provided both of those things, that would also probably work.
That's his job.
And there's a lot of information in there that most of it doesn't contain. I know, and not all of it contains every deal. Most people sign it.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let's talk about land. What do we want to know? How can I best help you guys to make a big bag of money in land?
Codes, zoning codes. That says R6. Something like.
What is zoning? Okay.
Let's talk about the middle housing bill and how that might affect us.
I love that one. We can spend the whole class talking about that one. Middle housing. Okay, this one gets like an asterisk. Middle house. I can't even spell. HOU. Okay, what else?
What about on-estate development?
It's easier. Once you leave the West Coast, it's easier everywhere else. But it's like Satan's friend, and Satan's brother. Is like the whole West Coast.
Yeah.
Oregon is just as hard as us, and California is worse.
So I'm looking in Texas.
Cool, we can build anything.
Great.
I mean, it's Texas. But yeah, we can talk about that. TX or out of state. Okay, what else? Anything else? Anything else?
Just more identifying deals as far as in land.
Deals.
What's going to make it?
Deals and feasibility.
What about scalability as far as like, should you just pack as many as you can, or should you
like highest and best use?
Yeah, especially like for me, I'm thinking Texas. So like, yeah, highest and best use. Is it going to be a bigger lot? Is it going to be density?
What about stick built versus manufactured?
Ooh. How long are we going to be here?
Priority list.
Oh, I mean, and all of these are phenomenal questions.
Okay, it's all about like water stuff on properties.
We can't talk about property in Washington without talking about wetlands. Okay. Here's something interesting to think about. So, especially as we're, did you see her? The people say, I want to live on acreage, I want to build a house, I want 5 acres. In their mind, they think about 5 acres of usable land.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as a 5-acre piece that still exists where all 100% is usable? No.
I mean, in the Tri-Cities, maybe.
In the Tri-Cities, yeah, totally. I'm talking Western Washington in our hood. No, it sold, and it sold 20 years ago. So the thing to understand immediately when we're talking about construction projects is everything you touch will have wetlands on it. I think that's probably our #1 thing to immediately think is everything has wetlands. And when someone says, I want 5 acres of usable, they probably have to buy 15 or 20 to get 5 usable acres. Okay.
So Anton, based on what you're seeing out there, whether it's a 1 acre or 20 acre spread, you're saying roughly 25% of it may be usable on average, would you say?
Sounds good. That's a great number. I hadn't thought of it that way, but I would totally agree with that. If we're just shooting from the hip. You sent me someone? No, April sent me someone. I looked at someone sent me a property. April Thistle asked them to give me a call. I looked at it. It's up there off of Pilchuck Creek. I looked at it for 2 seconds and I said I wouldn't pay more than $1,000 for this land.
So how big?
It's 18 acres. So one thing to know when we look at an aerial, and I'm going to literally Yeah, we're not gonna put it up on the screen. When you look at an aerial and you see the aerial get really flat, okay, so there's trees sticking up and all of a sudden the land gets really flat and the color changes when you're looking at an aerial, 99% of the time in Washington, that's a wetland. Like, just bet money on it. So the Pilchuck Creek is swirling like this, and there are these large indents that you can see. And it's like a lighter color green, just like this. And what it was like, this was probably the only dry area on 18 acres surrounded by physical standing water. So the gentleman says, how do I get to it? I said, you go to the Army Corps of Engineers. It takes you 24 months. You get the right to punch a road through that wetland. It's going to cost you a few $100,000 to get to this half acre of dry, and it's going to take you 5 years to do it. I was like, I'd pay $1,000 for it. This is Pilchuck Creek is a salmon spawning stream. May God have mercy on your soul. Just give up on this project and walk away. Okay, so know immediately, like, the type of the wetland will make the biggest difference. And anything that touches a body of water is going to cause you a massive problem, even if it's fake. I own a property in Lake Stevens. It has a seasonal creek on it that one fish in the prehistoric era swam down. It dries up. It is 100% seasonal. It has a 250-foot buffer coming off of it on all sides. So there's an 80-acre piece, and it loses this giant strip right up through the middle of it. And then the creek gets really wide at the south side. Why does the creek get really wide at the south side? Because the original owners of the property, their kids wanted to canoe out there, and he literally dropped a machine out there and cut it wide. This is before we had things like that. This is like in sometime in the 60s. So the creek goes like this, and then huge. Wetlands is your biggest issue. Water is your second biggest issue. Actually, no. Access is your next biggest issue. When you see a property, don't assume it has access. There, especially if it doesn't touch a road, if it goes down a gravel driveway, you may not have the right to subdivide that property or even build on it. I know this is something that 99% of agents miss this. They see a road, they assume access. Also, in Washington State, we have stuff that has tax IDs or parcel identification numbers that are not legal building lots. People pay taxes on them, and they are not legal building lots. So in addition to wetlands, you need to confirm the lot status that you have a legal building lot. Someone could literally have a tax assessed property, and they'll be tax assessed for 300 grand, and they may not have a legal building lot.
How do you find that out?
You call Snohomish County and say, I'd like to do a lot status check on this one. And then you work with Chicago Title and Snohomish County to prove lot status. If you try to do it with anyone else, may God have mercy on your soul. And tease when I say these things, 2 seconds. Chicago is the absolute best title company for land in our area. They control about 80% of the new construction. They know all the builders, they know all the developers. There are amazing people who actually understand land that work there. I have done land deals with every title company, and none of them are as close to Chicago. Yes, sir.
Lot status the same in Skagit.
Lot status, yeah, same in Skagit. It's the same all over Washington State. You have to confirm we have lot status. Let me explain. Zoning did not exist until the 70s. You could have just drawn something on a map, and then it was legally subdivided. And there's lots of shenanigans in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s where I would just quit claim it to my friend, and then they thought they owned a piece of property. Well, just because I took a 5-acre piece and gave her half doesn't mean it's legally 2 lots, even though she may own the south half of the property and I may own the north half. That's how a lot of this was done. So wetlands, lot status, access. The next thing that becomes your issue is your water and your sewer. Okay, we don't have public sewer, it's on site. Your well has to be 100 feet away from the septic. When you put your septic on, and there are 5 lots in a row, or 3 lots, or 4, and you want to put a septic right here, if this person has a well right there, there's a 100-foot radius. If this person has a well, there's a 100-foot radius. And their well's right here, there's another 100-foot radius. Oh wait, this is a road? This guy across the street's got a well right here, here's another 100-foot radius. So you literally have to pull up every well and draw a 100-foot circle around them. What happens if there is a well that is not recorded, but there is a well? There's still a 100-foot radius.
To call the Department of Ecology about that.
And decommissioning is very expensive.
Decommission can be very expensive. Sometimes it's cheap, depending on what you do.
You're talking about decommissioning the septic or the well?
No, well, we had a property where we sold a lot next door to the home. They had a well, but they can now get on their community rights. So we're like, fine, we'll just decommission the well, sell the lot.
Yep.
Turned into a huge deal, and she ended up spending, was it 85? I don't know, it was like 8,500 to decommission the well that she no longer needed, but
She wasn't even using it.
wasn't even gonna use it.
Hi, my name's Anton. I'm a land developer. When you say expensive, I think 100 grand.
Yeah,
When you say 8,500, I'm like, yeah, that's real life.
Well, when you're selling a lot for 50,000,
Yes.
like in BFE, so it was a lot.
It's going to cost you 5 to 15 grand to get rid of a well
That you're not even using.
that you're not even using. Okay, so there's a piece of property on Grandview Road. It's right there in the corner. It's been listed off and on multiple times. It's on the market again right now for $109,000. There is a well that is, so the road goes like this, and this property is a shotgun. It's kind of shaped like this. There's a creek that comes right here. The creek goes like that, and then this is a steep embankment. There's a well right here that is not recorded. The only buildable drain field area is right here. This well is inside. It's inside of that radius. That is not a buildable lot.
Does that also include above ground septics?
Yeah, any septic.
Okay, all right.
And then your septic also has to, generally speaking, be 10 feet off a property line, 10 feet away from a ditch. Okay, and it's going to have to be, I think it's 20 feet off the back of the house. So there's all these weird little things where properties have to go. Land and land development is a giant Rubik's Cube. You have to be slightly sick in the head. You must like beating your head against the wall and being told no repeatedly. And then your job is to not piss people off. I focus on this one.
You probably struggle with that.
I struggle with this one. But your job is to play nice with them because you need them. And your job is not to call them an idiot, even when they are doing something dumb.
Question on septic. Do you have more than one on a property?
Yes. So R5, this is money-making tip number 1 of the day. Okay, number 1. R5 right now. So if I got 200,000 square feet, that equals a duplex, okay? Or just a regular SFR. Now, any lot in the R5, any size, so it could be a 1 acre lot, also now allows an SFR and a DADU. This DADU cannot be more than 1,200 square feet. Okay, so this is a giant moneymaker, gigantic moneymaker. There is a home over there on 84th and 123rd. It's like 850 grand or 885. The home faces east, and you could literally put a driveway in right off of 84th, right there where the shop is. There's like a maroon colored shop. And you can build a DADU right there. In this case, what you would do is you'd get that second drain field. Okay, so as long as you had room for a second drain field and there was only one well connection already, Snohomish County only allows 2 well connections max. Okay, then you have to go to a public water system, not worth the time. It's a couple $100,000. This is awesome. We bought a lot from Lance and Robin. It's in the R5 zone. It is right there on Sturgeon Drive. The house is almost all the way flipped right now. Nice. We will put the house back on the market, and basically we're going to owe approximately 75 to 100 grand into the lot next to it after we flip the house and get rid of it. The lot next to it has a cute little shop on it. We're going to build a 1,200 square foot dadu, and we're going to build a 1,400 square foot 2-story in the front on a 13,000 square foot lot. Because it's zoned R5.
Explain though how you're selling the house.
It's on a separate lot. There were two individual lots to start with. Okay. P.S. I'm going to put that on at market value. If you know someone who needs to build a dadu in their backyard for mom or dad, this will be a great little rambler to buy. If someone wants to buy it and move in owner occupied and build themselves a dadu in the backyard, this is going to be a great one. It's cute. It's little, nice little rambler.
Is the dadu your own verbiage, or as I'm familiar with ADU?
Detached accessory dwelling unit. All right. So when the code changed, the original ADU in R5 had to be attached, or they had to use the same driveway. The code changed. I can now give them separate driveways and they can be detached. So everyone in this room, as you are house hacking, that's called close, and you move into another property in an R5 area, I want you just to go buy another house and build it at it. You just built yourself a cool little duplex that's worth a lot of money. Like, how much is a 1,200 square foot rambler on, let's say, on a half-acre lot worth?
Where?
Right over there in Getchell. Cool, 500 grand. If I only paid market value for the house, I got the land for free. It's going to cost me 250 grand or 300 grand to build that dadu. I just paid $200,000 in equity. We on the same page? Mm-hmm. Yes. This is awesome.
Those are never subdividable then.
We can condo them.
Because maybe down the road somebody's not going to want something like
We
that.
can condo it though.
Oh, okay.
You can condo them and sell them separately.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the Washington State Condominium Act, I need every one of you to ignore what you think a condominium is. A condominium is not a stack of apartments that are sold individually. The Washington State Condominium Act, we have the coolest condominium act in the whole country. It does make it hard for lenders to understand. We could condo my Jeep. I can sell you the bed, you the front seat, you the driver's seat, you the back seat. I'm going to claim the HOA. I'm going to charge all of you. Okay? So with Sturgeon, I could sell the house in the front. I could sell the dadu, and I could keep the shop on lot C by condoing it. I could then start an HOA and charge everyone $100 a month to be a part of my HOA. And I can make $200 off a month off of the houses I sold.
Do you have to give them access to the shop?
No, that's Unit C. Yeah, and the shop we're renting out to one of our other friends who needs to store some building materials.
So going back to the other dadu, you just got to make sure then if it is on septic that you got to have enough room to create another septic, or say the house is a 3-bedroom, but it is a 4-bedroom septic. Did you tie into that? And
yes.
Just make the dadu just a 1-bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Now the dadu code also says 1,200 square foot of living space. Could I shove a 3,000 square foot shop underneath that 1,200 square foot of living space?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
As far as the utilities go in a condo with the HOA, do they have to pay into the HOA or can they separate meter it out? Because I have
yes.
a lot in Seattle that I'm going to do this on, but they're only allowing one meter.
If they only allow 1 meter, then in the HOA, you would put together some type of documentation that splits utilities or creates a sub-metering process. So there are now sub-meters that will electronically monitor a main meter and break them off.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Thank you, commercial real estate. They invented that for us.
Smart.
Sorry, I'm trying to go faster so I can cover a lot with you guys. Main things we look at: water, sewer, wetland, access, survey. You have to survey everything because we got to figure out if there's an encroachment. Your most common encroachment is a freaking fence. The development we did over there on 88th, there were 6 different fences in the wrong spot. So we had to go to all the neighbors, all 6 of them, and move their fences or pay for new fences. And one neighbor wouldn't talk to me, so I gave them a box that was like 2 by 8, and I just quick claimed it to the neighbor and said they own that now. Okay, because there was no way, we got tired of chatting with them. The duplex that we built there, that duplex cost just a little less than $600,000. This is a hard real number as of last week. It was 580 something. It's 1,420 square feet each side, 4 bed, 2.5 bath. One of them rented yesterday for $26.95. Holy Toledo.
4 each side is 4 bed.
It's 2 houses glued together.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same duplex that you've seen Mike and I do 1,000,000 times. It was $600,000 to build it. 1,440 square feet. One side just rented for $26.95. The split level next to it is 2,600 square feet, and I think we're going to be into that one. I don't have the final numbers, but I think that one's going to be a little under 400. The windows are really big. The windows in that stupid split level cost as much as all of the windows in the duplex. So it was like $30,000 worth of windows. We know we're going to sell it, so it's got a bunch of oversized windows, and we even cut them down and shrank them. So the upper level and the staircase is 4 feet wide. So we're going to hold it for like 5 years and then sell it, so we know we're eventually going to sell it. But this is overdone for a rental. When you see stuff on Instagram, you see those big, beautiful windows. When you see windows in a 3,000 square foot house that cover like walls, those are hundreds of thousands of dollars in windows. If you see a 5,000 square foot house and it's got, you know, those mono doors that open, those start at 30 grand and they go up to $100,000.
The door that opens like
for those,
yes,
the wall doors that open. So what people don't think about this, but like windows are so freaking expensive. Stick built versus man. What was the question on that?
Which is better?
Can you open that? You can get stuff in here.
Throwing a manufactured on is pretty simple. We've done it. It's pretty cost effective, but is it for longevity better to do stick built?
It's a great question. If I'm owning it as a rental, I want a stick built. If I'm trying to rock and roll for speed, I'm going to go for a manufactured. A manufactured home, because it's a pre-engineered structure, there's no plan check. So it goes through the planning department in 1/3 of the time. So any of these pre-built structures will always move through faster than a stick built. And I hear a stupid joke. Marysville, you're awesome. We have a lack of affordability. And so the last manufactured home that we did, we sold for $450,000 in Gold Bar, 1,200 square feet. And we never even put it on the market. Like,
What size of lot?
it was on point, not even a quarter acre. Part of the quarter acre went over a hill. So I don't know, probably 6,000 square feet of usable. This manufactured homes are a massive opportunity for you guys to make money. They're very affordable. Another cool thing that the investment mastermind I'm a part of, what they do with manufactured homes is they flip them and then they sell them on contracts, the ones that aren't financeable. Let me say this another way. How many homes are in our area under 600,000 on the market right now? Not a lot. Yeah, very low. So if I can get anything that's a nice, beautiful product to market, it's going to sell. We put on a cabin in Gold Bar. It's 523 square feet at 385. It's been shown 7 times. Someone already told me they'd give me a contingent offer for 500 square feet. Like, come on. So I think if you can find areas that you can do manufactured homes, or if you could flip a manufactured home, or you can grab one and owner finance it, that's a phenomenal thing to do. We will continue to do more of them because they're quick. We buy a lot of them from Heritage Home Center there in Everett. We've also purchased them from Coach Corral up there. And
what's a rough number right now to buy a manufactured but not a lot delivered?
The 1,200 square foot one was 100. I think it was 170, but we paid them for the extra. So there's a really big difference between a 2x4 and a 2x6 construction manufactured home. Massive. So we only buy the 2x6 ones with the Energy Star packages and the little bit of extra goodies in them. So because, you know, my partner Tony is a little bit detailed, a little bit anal, and he doesn't like anything that's a bad product. And so it's like, this is the only one we will do. And I'm like, that one's cheaper.
The yin and the yang.
It's a good partnership. And he's like, that sucks. Here's why. And he's actually also convinced me of it, because I had the opportunity in Gold Bar, the one that we sold, it was the exact same model, to walk through the exact same model that didn't have the upgrades that we usually pay for. And you could feel it slightly. Like it just wasn't as structurally sound, and it wasn't as quiet inside. So we get them with the 2x6, we pay for the Energy Star upgrades, and then we pay for upgrades in the kitchen and in the master bath. Okay? And then, to be honest, they're a pretty nice product. We also paid them for their install, so we don't have to deal with it. And for a 1,200 square feet, it was 174,000 with tax.
What's the install? They bring it in and hook it up?
They bring it in, they hook it up.
Was that part of the 175?
Yes, it's all included in that price. So what you do is you get the pad ready, you get all the utilities like plumbed to it. They come in, set it down, put it to the engineered foundation with those little straps. Then you come back around and put the deck or whatever you're going to do, and then hook it up. And then they come back through and finish some of the interior stuff. You can buy them where parts of the interior are not finished. Okay. Once again, my whole thought in regards to all of this stuff is, as real estate investors, as land developers, we can get lost in the details and in the weeds and lose a lot of money. Speed is money. Your time is money. Get it done right, but get it done faster. So you can save money if it's not all the way ready to rock and roll. Conversely, we don't have to mess with it. It shows up, they come through, they get it all the way ready. We just have to hook it up to the utilities, build the decks, pour the sidewalks, whatever it may be. That's our method of doing it. I think a mistake we make as real estate brokers is we'll trade our high-paying day job to go flip a property. Our day job pays very well. So anytime you're flipping a property, doing an investment, building a house, you need to consider your time value of money calculation. If I made 150 grand last year, that means I'm worth so many dollars an hour. Who should be doing this? Highest and best use, this one's hard. It's really hard. There's also a lot of money to be made in highest and best use. Let me explain. I have had the great pleasure of working for some awesome investors who taught me some amazing things about highest and best use. It's closing today, right over there, 903 Cedar. It's across from Kung Fu for Kids. There's a blue duplex. We're buying it for $315,000. It is dozer bait. It comes with 2 motor homes and probably a minimum of 8 tweakers. We will knock on their door tomorrow and offer everyone money to leave. Who we can't get, we'll put into actual leases, and then we'll turn around and evict them after that. It's current highest and best use. Marysville has a new zoning called the flex residential. Think of it like a high density multifamily. On that lot right over there, we could put 6 townhomes or a.
What size is that lot? Just curious.
I have this Star Trek communicator. Let's see.
Those townhomes are popping all up on Cedar.
They're popping all up on Cedar. It is 0.22, and you want to figure in a 20% standard reduction. Okay, so not all of your lot is always usable. Whenever you're doing something, assume you lose 20%. The base dwelling, the minimum that the city wants in that zoning is 28 dwelling units an acre with a max of 45 dwelling units an acre. So everyone open your phones, take 0.22. You're gonna do a development calculation. I'm so happy my engineer wrote this out. Okay, so this is 0.22 of an acre times 0.8. In other words, we're losing 20%. So you should have 0.176. So you take that 0.18 times it by 28 dwelling units an acre. 0.18 times 28. Okay, did everyone get 5.04?
Yeah.
So your minimum or your base is 5 units. So if you put anything into the city, a fourplex, they would literally tell you no. They would say build something bigger. That's what the base density means. Then they say you can take that same 0.18 times 45, which is the max density. In this case, it'd be 8.1. So you need to build somewhere between 5 to 8 units on that property based on its size. Because we just built Mike and Rochelle a 6-plex out of a duplex that we designed. So we have this it's like a single car garage, 1,300 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath upstairs, half-bath downstairs, single car garage is 20 feet wide, 40 feet deep. Tony and I originally designed it as a duplex. We were going to build it as a 4-plex at Everett. I sold that. And then Mike and Rochelle just built it as a 6-plex. So we're literally going to chop 1 unit off of it. So we have those exact numbers and build it as a 5-plex over there. So when you're looking at highest and best use, and you look at something like this, you know that I'm buying a ghetto, gross, nasty duplex. It's not really a duplex. It's a single family with a half story where they bootlegged in a kitchen in this half story and a bathroom upstairs. I mean, I'm trying to give you perspective. Like the duplex you used to own down the street, way nicer. When you look at the zoning, you say, okay, I have this high density multifamily or a mixed use. That's what this flex residential is. Everything up and down Beach and Cedar, so from the tracks over all the way to where the tracks end is high density, and from 10th down is now high density, or a medium to a high density over here. So if you can buy a house anywhere in this area, this is where highest and best use comes in long term. And today I paid a house price for it. But I was gonna live there, I was gonna rent it out, or I could get it to cash flow. Moral of the story is I can hold on to it. In 5 to 10 years, when the land value exceeds the structure value, there's your keywords for highest and best use. When my intended use in the land value exceeds my structure value, I can dozer it. Okay, so would you pay $315,000 for a 5-plex lot? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Perfect. That's highest and best use. You can also think of this. Let me give you an industrial example. Industrial land sells on a price per square foot basis. Multifamily and townhomes sell on a unit basis. Industrial sells on a price per square foot. Retail sells on a price per square foot. General commercial sells on a price per square foot. We have all of this giant industrial land up here in Smoky Point. All that sells on a price per square foot. They pay a price per square foot for the land. Then they figure out the price per square foot to get it up to its entitlement or highest and best use with a pad. Then they put a structure on it and they calculate the rent in order to generate a cap rate based on that structure. Don't overcomplicate it. That's actually all it is. When you see their spreadsheets, though, their spreadsheets have 5 to 10 pages, and it looks like a lot. All they're trying to figure out is their yield on cost. Yield on cost is, if I paid for this thing in cash, what would my yield be? They're looking for what's called an equity multiplier. They're trying to create equity based on the amount of cash that they put in and have it multiply. They're looking at internal rate of return and cash on cash return. So for highest and best use, one way that a lot of people have made a lot of money in this area is they will buy property on the edge of development. I'd recommend you do this. So if you've got a commercial zoning, so right here, this land is commercial, and right here, this one's residential. Buy that house, buy that piece of vacant land, because this is either going to become commercial or multifamily. And it's going to happen over and over and over again. Every city, every county has long-range planning in there, where they talk about the projections of how big the city's going to grow. And they talk about the number of units they're going to need inside of the city or the county. It's part of their comprehensive plan. You can go read their comprehensive plan, and it tells you where they want to put the future growth. So if part of their long-term plan includes more multifamily, and they're thinking they kind of want it in this area, that's a good assumption. Does this make sense? Okay. How you do that, let's go to zoning real quick. Zoning, open up a zoning map. Marysville has its own zoning map. Snohomish County has its own zoning map. How you decide who's in charge is based on what's called the UGA, the urban growth area. If it's inside of the city's UGA, they are in charge. So just because it says in Marysville doesn't mean Marysville's in charge. It could be Snohomish County is in charge. Let me give you an example. Everything up there by Schulte's used to be in Snohomish County. That has all now been annexed into the city of Marysville. 4 years ago, if you did a development anywhere up there in Schulte's, it would have been Snohomish County. Now it's all the city of Marysville. Lakewood is, right there where Costco and all that stuff is. That's now the city of Marysville. Before it was Snohomish County. You can pull up a UGA map on their website and we'll show you who's in charge. And if you don't know, just call the planning department. You give them the parcel you're asking about and say, are you in charge of this? It's their job to answer. Snohomish County has a great email address. Ask a permit tech. And you can email Snohomish County and they usually get back to you in like a day or two, sometimes 3. But they do a good job at that. Please hear me. This is a phenomenal way to make money. What would be even cooler is that you think that this is going to be a multi-family someday and you could buy it as a duplex today. Or maybe it's got a single family on it, and I can build an ADU in the backyard and then wait a decade and then bulldoze it and build 20 townhomes in its place. Long range planning, they have to tell you what's coming. So there are supposedly somewhere 300,000 people supposed to come to North Snohomish County by like 2030. I don't know where we're going to put them, but they're coming here. Okay, so would I buy rentals here? Yeah. Does all that industrial up there in Arlington draw more jobs? Yes. Tesla signed a 260,000 square foot lease. There's also Gravitex. I'm really butchering the name, I'm sorry. They're building the hotel for the space station. So literally, here in Smoky Point, they're going to attach it to the space station, and people are going to be able to go up and spend the night. I don't know how much it's going to be. It's probably really expensive. But that's happening right here in Smoky Point. I mean, that's pretty cool. So when you think about this, you go, wait a second, Tesla, Amazon, and there's millions more square feet right there coming in. Do I feel very comfortable investing in Arlington, Marysville, Lakewood right now? Yes. Yes. Buy. Any more questions about highest and best use? Oh, I'm sorry. I had to finish this part. So when I look at the zoning and I figure out who's in charge of it, I can then look at their zoning map. The zoning maps are simply color coded. They have a little legend on the side and they're just yellow. So Tony and I just looked at right over here on Grove. As you're driving down Grove, there's Union Coffee, there's that little gas station, and he owns a property right there off of 74th, right before the gas station. His property is on the south side, it's zoned R6.5, the north side is zoned R12. Well, what does that mean? Once you know the zoning, you can then go find what's called a use table. Yes, it's called this almost all across the country. So even when we look in Texas, it's called a use table. Sometimes they call it a use matrix, same idea. You go to the use table and you look up R6.5. That's a 5. And what it is it's got these columns like this, and it'll say like permitted or conditional, or it'll say like Z or R. Some people use really weird things, but right at the bottom, it always tells you what it is. And so you can go on R6.5 and you can see a duplex is allowed use. You can see single family is allowed use. You can see a condo is an allowed use. Generally speaking, when you see something that says like R6.5 or like R12, it means 6.5 units an acre. R12 means 12 units an acre. Then what you do is you dig into the zoning a little bit more, and you'll see a base zoning and a max zoning. Remember, that's what we just talked about for the flex. It had a base of 28 and a max of 45. The R12 has a max of R18. Okay, with a base, I think of like 8. In other words, you can go up to 18 units an acre. In a lot of zoning, there's also, a lot of municipalities have density incentives. They're called different things. They're called density credits. They're called density incentives. They're called density bonuses. Which means if you do things for the city, they'll give you a bonus. Sometimes it's just giving them money. So Marysville, they call it an RDI, residential density incentive, and they'll give you units for like 25,000. Like you just pay them, and then your density goes up. When you're looking at townhomes or multifamily, a lot of times the thing that prevents you from hitting your highest density is parking. Second thing that prevents it, stormwater detention. Over and over and over and over again. Washington, we care about our rain. So we go to the use table, we look at the permitted uses. You can also look at what's called a conditional use. A conditional use, really simply, what that means is you could get approved to do it, but it's going to require a special approval. This is where your highest and best use comes in, again. So if I'm looking at the zoning and I'm thinking about my long-term planning, I go, oh, hey, Tony, you own R6.5 that's right across the street from R12. Tony says, should I sell this duplex? I said, no, I won't sell the duplex. I'd wait, because eventually it's going to be 12 units an acre. Does duplex make money? Makes $1,500 a month. Okay, keep it. What's going through your brain? I hit you with a lot on that one.
Where would you focus, Anton, if you were just getting into this game? What would you say is probably the, not easiest, but something that we could get into really quickly to start understanding?
The lowest hanging fruit,
yeah,
is to find builders, developers, and investors and sell them projects and say, hey, Armand, when I sell this to you, will you explain it to me? I'm dead serious. And make them millions and take hundreds in commissions, and they will teach you an unbelievable amount for free.
So find them opportunity.
Hi, my name's Anton. I buy properties. Todd told me the one we're closing on right over there. And we just show him what we're doing, and we'll just hand him copies of everything. Okay, so he can understand the process. P.S. I'm also happy to always explain or help you guys with any one of these things. But when you sell people projects, what you want to do, real simple, make it simple, stupid. I called a developer yesterday. I said, hey, one of my friends has a property listed that is an estate sale. It's on the market for 1.5, Chris Mitchell. And there are 3 other lots that come with it, and the house needs to be flipped. Do you want to buy it? He said, hey, our plate is full, but keep going. I said, well, I think we could buy it for 1.4. I want to do single families with dadus, and I want to do a dadu next to the main house. And it's going to cost you about 150 grand to flip it, and there's 650 grand in profit sitting there. And it's going to take us 24 months, and it's going to take at least 1.4 in 30 days. Want to play? And he goes, if we weren't so pushed out right now, I'd totally do it. That's a great deal. So you want it. Here's how much cash I need from you right now. Here's how long. Here's what your returns look like. Here's how you're going to get those returns. I'll be really blunt. I hate it when people send me a flip and say, hey, this is a good deal. No offense, real estate brokers. Do your friggin' job. What's the finished value? How much are the repairs? What needs to be repaired? How long is it going to take? Okay. Same thing applies to a development project. It's currently in the raw phase. It's going to take you 14 months to get there. Entitlements is going to cost 150 grand. This is your lot yield. This is how much you're going to get in return. Want to play? When you don't know that in the beginning, just go find a duplex lot. Go find a fourplex lot. Debbie Barger-Smith listed a nice fourplex lot right over here. We made an offer on it. There was 9 offers. I went to 310, and the other offer went at 315. But it was flat as a pancake right there on, I think it's 9th or 8th. There's a duplex in the front. There's just lawn in the backyard. Simple, flat as a pancake, fourplex lot. Easy peasy. But you look at that, and okay, everyone open your phone. Here's the math for the fourplex lot. 4 units, so 4 times 2,500. Okay, what's 4 times 2,500? 10,000. Cool. Times 12 months. So this is my yearly cash flow. 120,000 times 0.75. 25% of all money is lost to expenses. I don't care what you're telling yourself. 90K take my 90K and divide it by 0.05 or a 5% cap rate. So what we just figured out was the net operating income was 90K. Now we're going at a 5 cap. 1 point what? Ah, 1.8. So this duplex is worth 1.8. Fourplex, thank you. Okay. So I got a lot for 315,000. Is everyone tracking?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to spend 75 grand in entitlements. Okay. I'm going to spend 10 grand for the plans. Okay. I'm going to spend, I don't know, let's call it probably at least 125, get the lot all the way ready. This number may be really high. And then I'm going to spend 4 times 1,300 times 165, whatever that is. 4 units, 1,300 square feet, $165 a square foot. What's that number?
Material 858.
What?
858.
858. Okay, so now take my 315, 75.
417.
What?
1.117.
417 plus 858.
No, I mean, that's what you're left with. After the 1.8, you've got 417.
Yeah, because I calculated.
Okay, hold on, you're jumping ahead. What's all this added together?
1.383.
Equals 1383. Okay? 1.8 times 0.75. 75% loan to value.
Are you getting 165 a square foot right now?
Yes.
Is that because you own the property?
Yes. 1.8 times 0.75. What?
135.
1.35. Would you do this deal for 30 grand? It's gonna take you 18 months.
I don't know, that's pretty risky.
Yeah, I know.
For 30 G's,
30 G's.
it's like one listing.
Hold on, does everyone see what I just did?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this to appraise as 75% loan to value. We figured out the value is worth 1.8. Which means they're gonna give me 1.35 on the refi. Okay? This refinance is gonna cost me 35 to 40 grand though. So we didn't figure that out. So right here, I got a 50 grand delta plus the 40 grand for the refi. So let's call it 90 grand. So would you spend, let's call it 100. Would you spend $100,000 to create a $1.8 million asset? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Okay. What's 100,000 divided by 1,800,000? I'm trying to show you how much your technical down payment is. 0.05. So you said
100,000 divided by 1.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.05.
0.05. Cool. You put 5% down on this property. It still took you 18 months though. So I'm not factoring in your time. I also did not factor in cost of capital. Okay. And I didn't factor in a buffer. But Anton's napkin math, this is how I made the decision to make the offer on that property. It was like.
It also didn't factor appreciation too.
Didn't factor appreciation. Which it could have gone to 2. But we don't factor appreciation. We hit doubles, singles, triples, homers all day long. We never, ever, ever, ever care about appreciation. That's just a bonus. Okay. Now, if you're doing a big multifamily project, shove in 3% appreciation. That's a different story.
Yeah, they're great.
How do you structure with your investors? What's that structure look like?
On this one,
Well, I mean, are they expecting?
hey homie, I made an offer on this. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, I mean, because I do have some people that do want to invest, but are you giving them equity? Are you just giving them their money back plus, like, what are you doing with that? How are you structuring it?
It depends.
Partnership?
This one we were just gonna buy, but I put together all the numbers for Cedar, and I was gonna keep 51% of Cedar. It was gonna cost $174,000 on our side and $528,000 on their side. They were gonna get 49%. They were getting a 10.4 IRR and a 14% ROI. 10-year hold though. The investor at the last second said, you know, I don't want to do this. I said, cool, I'll buy it anyway. You guys want to hard money me the 100,000 I'm missing right now? Because you just pulled out on me?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, sure. But that was that deal. Generally speaking, you're going to have to give up anywhere between 20 to 95% of a project. Generally speaking, they're going to need to make between 8 to 15% internal rate of return. They need to make a 5 to a 10% cash on cash. They need to make a 1.5% or greater equity multiplier. They need to make 6.5% yield on cost or better. And you need to be able to hit your cap rates and don't cheat. Everyone likes to cheat. I hate syndicators, by the way, because most syndicators, what they did was they cheated over the last 3 years. They said, my exit cap rate is 4. Did that work when the market changed? So when you have a 20-unit building, okay, so I got 20 units, right? Can we digress and do a little developer math real quick? So go 20 units times 1,500. It's just some little apartment building around here. Okay, what is it? 30 grand. What? 30 grand. So I got 30,000 a month. Okay, same thing. 30,000 times 12 months. 360 grand. Okay, I'm going to lose 25% to expenses, so 360 times 0.75. 270? 270,000. 270,000 divided by 0.05 for a cap rate. 5.4. Okay, this building is worth 5.4 million. Bam. Now watch what happens when the syndicator says, but I could exit at a 4% cap. Take the same 270,000, divide by 0.04. Oh, that's a big delta. 6.75. So what a lot of syndicators did, what's getting them in trouble, is their assumptions is their rent growth was higher than it is. Instead of like a 2% or a 3% rent growth, there may be a 5% rent growth. Or there may be a 3% rent growth when that market only grows at 1%. They factor in a high appreciation rate. And then they factor in a low exit cap. And look at that. That's what, 1.35? Simply by moving the cap rate.
Is that why that 21 unit up on the arc is so price?
It's under contract at, we need to call her and figure out exactly what's under contract, but it's pending at the reduced price, the 6.5. I told her 6.2, so, but I'm cheapo Filippo, so we'll see where this ends.
Are you figuring that cap rate based on like move-in ready brand new? Because obviously if the building is you're gonna purchase multi-family at a different cap rate.
Yes, correct, sir. Yeah.
What are those numbers like?
New construction right here in Marysville. New construction is going to be 5 when it's done, and then if cap rates go back to where they were, cap rates were just 4% for new construction. So if a building is less than 10 years old, it'll probably go back. It could literally go right back to a 4.
Okay. What if the building's 50 years old?
Are we value adding?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to try to buy it at like a 6.5. I'm going to value add it to an 8. And then I'm going to sell it at a 5. Does that make sense? So I want to lift it, get my money. Then I want to, they call it disposition. I want to dispose of it at a lower cap rate when the market's hovering. So why have cap rates risen? Cost of capital went up. Plain and simple. Texas is phenomenal. One of my friends is in Waco right now. We're going to be doing some wholesaling and some building in Waco. He went and got a what? Burn-ground building. Too soon.
Insurance projects.
Too soon. To get a building permit in the city of Waco, he said he went in, said, "Hey, you know, do I need to submit a grading plan? Do I need a drainage plan? What do my plans need to look like? How do we do it? And the guy goes, oh yeah, I'm the building inspector. What do you need? Well, where are you gonna put your septic? Well, let's take it about right here. Well, you want to take a look at it? He drove up there, he dug the hole. He goes, yeah, looks good. He's like, you want to see my plans? He's like, no, just build it. Let me know when it's done.
So we just went through that in Tennessee. We had to go to a town hall meeting and raise your hands if you can vote. Like they literally will vote if you can get a permit or not.
Anybody opposed?
It's not like that in Washington.
You're allowed to build.
I just helped another friend look at something in Georgia, in a county there, and I would say it's 30% of the requirements we have here. So a lot of the U.S. is a lot more forgiving, but then they have different things. So like in Oregon, like around Bend, they have this weird thing about certain trees, this weird thing about certain animals. Lacey has endangered gophers.
Yeah.
You have to get a gopher study.
That was brutal.
No,
Yeah.
you have to get a gopher study.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah.
We just lost a land deal because there was an eagle's nest on the property. We're like, oh, well, yes. That was not gonna work. In Bend, Oregon, you can only build at certain times of the year because it's solid rock. So when you go to build, they literally have to blast the lines they're gonna put the water and sewer in. They just fill these little holes with a dynamite. I mean, it's super cool, but you know, all of a sudden it's winter. That doesn't happen. Yeah. So just know that wherever you go, you kind of have to figure out like, what is the quirks of that area? Our quirks right here is wetlands. And then our second quirk is sewer. And our third quirk is access. And our fourth quirk is it actually a buildable lot? We kind of talked about this. During the feasibility, you have to confirm whatever it is that you're trying to do. In an ideal world, if I'm doing a land development project, I would get into the municipality and get a thumbs up. So we didn't have that opportunity on Cedar. So Cedar tomorrow gets submitted for our 5-unit townhome thing as a pre-app. Normally speaking, like if I was going to pay more money for that property, and I didn't have to kick out the tweakers and move out the RV vans and things like that, we would go in and at least get a pre-app, get a thumbs up from the city about what we wanted to do. But the zoning is very flexible right there. And the lot size is big enough that we're going to get somewhere between 5 to 8 units, and it all makes financial sense. If it's a really big project, so there may or may not be a 750 unit apartment complex that every Tuesday afternoon I get on a phone call and help work on. And that one, you've got to get a lot of thumbs ups because of the sheer level of dollars that's involved with that. Land is risk versus reward. As we do a land development project, you have to make a minimum of 25%, and you've got to build in a 10% buffer in there. You actually have to build it into the budget, a 10% screw up, because you will screw it up. So on another property we own that I was at this weekend, we knocked this 120-foot tree down because it turned into a widowmaker. There are, as big as this room, there's giant piles of rock. All of that rock came out of Gold Bar. Every time you dig a hole for a foundation in Gold Bar, it is full of gigantic boulders. And they're like this big to, not on this one, but on another one, we had one the size of a Volkswagen. And so there are 8 dump trucks full of rock that we dumped on this other property I own because I'd have to pay to throw away the rock. So now I have a lot of landscaping rock for that whole project. And you go, it's not that expensive. It's $2,500 every dump truck load of rock. So if you want to get rid of rock out of Gold Bar, one of the things you have to budget in your foundation is 25 to 5 grand worth of stupid rock being in the ground. We didn't know that the first time. Most of my stories are things that have cost us money. If you want to play in land, it's going to cost you money. I'm sorry. There is one in Mount Vernon, off of 6th Street, which is off of Kincaid, up there on the hill. I have overspent by $60,000 on the engineering because Mount Vernon is horrible to work with. I have redesigned the project 4 times and I've submitted to them 3 different building plans that I paid for that they have not approved. You can't factor that in. So what you have to do is, as you're doing these projects, realize there will be winners and there will be losers. And you factor in a buffer. So if I do a land project, there has to be a 25% return with a 10% buffer. Because something is going to go wrong. You want to know how to make the most money the fastest humanly possible in a land development project? Buy dirt cheap. Yes, buy dirt cheap. Well, what did you buy?
Panther Lake, 3 lakes out there in Snohomish. It was a undeveloped piece of 2 separate lots, an acre. Little old lady was letting it this tax foreclose. And so I said, hey, I'll pay your tax foreclosure fees, pay your title and escrow fees, pay everything. And for $3,500, an acre out in Snohomish right off Panther Lake.
Then what'd you do with it?
Sold it owner contract to somebody for $35,000, paid me 6% interest. $700 payments every single month for 2.5 years, and then a big payment. Bought it for $3 grand, sold it, didn't develop anything because, like Anton said, I just didn't have the means or the know. I knew enough to know that it's going to be complicated with all the wetlands and the elevation, steep slopes, and I just said, hey, hands off. I got dirt cheap, and so I will sell here right now because I don't have the resources.
A mistake we make in real estate investing is we overcomplicate things and we get greedy. The quickest, highest ROI is what you should do probably 75% of the time. Let me explain where this becomes a mistake. You get addicted to flipping. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. Then you don't keep any rentals. Okay? So you have to like develop a rule. Well, I gotta develop rules. And you go, okay, we're gonna flip 5 or 6 and we're gonna try to keep 1. Okay? Otherwise, what happens is you're sitting there paying taxes. Okay? So let's think about this real quick. What'd you sell for? $35,000. How much you pay?
$3,500.
$3,500. Oh, so this is a 10x. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
This is a 10x return.
And that was, I sold it within about 11 months of purchase and just doing as much due diligence as I could to find out I can't do it.
So let's think about this. And it took three years approximately from the start to the close of their contract.
Yeah.
Would you guys do a deal where you made a 300% return on investment for 3 years in a row? Yes or yes? Cool. Welcome to land development. Not all land deals work out that lucrative. That's why I said 25% with a 35% buffer. Once again, that was a phenomenal example, but I want to give you a simple one. The easiest way to make a lot of money in land development, and once again, we're kind of closing with this, and I'm happy to do more some other time, or maybe I'll chat about middle housing for a second, is you go put together a 20-lot project. Let's say it's here in the city of Marysville. 20 lots, you're probably going to tie up for, I don't know, 80 grand a lot. So we've got 80,000 times 20. So we're at 1.6, right? Are we tracking?
Yeah.
Cool. 1.6 is my purchase price. Do I have to pay the purchase price today as a land developer? No, that's what feasibility and entitlements is for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 90-day feasibility, 90-day fees, and I'm going to get a a 1-year close. And my 1-year close is subject to me getting prelim and civils approved. And there's a 6-month extension for 50 grand if I want it. Subject to prelim and civils. So I tie this thing up and I go spend $150,000 on getting the entitlements approved. So I'm $150,000 plus my earnest money. Let's say the earnest money on this 50 grand. So I'm 200 grand hard into this. Everyone tracking? Yeah. Then once these are approved, this is worth 120K per lot. So what's 120 times 20? 2.4 million? Perfect. So my 200,000 created something that's worth 2.4 million. Then a developer or a builder or someone will gladly pay me that. So the delta is 800 grand. So my 200 grand, I don't even have to close on this thing. I go find a bigger fish. I get all the way approved. They come in, they pay me 800 grand for my contract. My 200 turned into 8 in a year and a half.
Does that have to be an assignable contract?
Yep. Or you got, even if it's not, doesn't matter. Would someone close on this one day for a fee and make some money off of? Let's say you had to give them 100 grand. Who cares? Give them 100 grand. The next day it closes. Yeah, 7. So I net 5 on my 200. This is how developers make a bunch of money. All the money's made on the front end. It's not made on the back end. A builder will only make 5 to 10%. Sometimes they make 12 or 15. Not all the time. Very rarely. Like when you're seeing a mass production builder, like a DR Horton pound through something, they're making 7 to 12% on those homes. Click, 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 click.
12% of 150 homes sold.
Yes.
750.
Yes. Yes. The math works. But the front end takes all the risk and the front end makes all the profit. For us in here, ADUs, DADUs, whatever you want to call them, is our biggest opportunity in Snohomish County. There's going to be more and more of that. Middle housing, real quick, middle housing, very simple. I can give you a copy of the bill if you want to read it. You can just, it's House Bill 1110. It got passed, James signed it. It's going to go into effect in July. And depending on how you read it, it's going to take anywhere between 9 to 18 months to implement. So what that means is for cities over 25,000 people, all your single family lots will allow duplexes. All your duplex lots will allow 4plexes. And certain lots that are within major transit will allow 6plexes. They believe this will make 1 million units. A large developer and a strategic land consultant and I napkin mathed it, and this is only going to make maybe 200,000 units. It's just, the people who do these things, they've never gotten a permit in their life. What this means, though, your opportunity, create a duplex lot. I'm looking at Amy. Create a duplex lot today, or a single family lot today, and have that immediately turn into a duplex lot in 9 to 16 months. Go buy a single family lot today at a single family lot price, and bam, I just made $80,000 with the equity. Okay. It's really weird. Single family lot, every time you add more units, the price per unit just keeps going down. So like a single family lot here in the city of Marysville is 250 to 325. Okay, a duplex lot, 250 to 325. Triplex lot is probably 275 to 350. Fourplex, $325 to $400. Should you pay any more than that? No, absolutely not. And it just keeps going down. And then they hit like a base threshold, and then they just don't go below that. If you understand zoning and you understand middle housing, this will make you a lot of money. You won't learn this all at once. What I'm talking to you guys about, I've been monkeying with for 20 years. So it's okay. Was anyone confused when they first started real estate with all of the grantor, grantee, mortgagor, mortgagee, and it just sounded like gobbledygook? Okay? Am I the only one?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of legal speak.
Legal speak. Zoning is the same way. When you go and look at it, it's written by attorneys and engineers, like the two worst people to pair together. And you know what's really funny is if you dig deep enough or you do enough projects, you will find where their code actually conflicts with itself. And then you go, well, what do you want to do? Well, I'd like to propose this. So all you have to do is start reading it, start paying attention to it. The city of Marysville, you went, Phil went, they had a meeting about how it works. You can go to these meetings. You can go to the planning commission's meetings for cities and counties. The easiest thing to do though, go find an investor and sell him or her projects. Your goal is to understand their buy box, what they're really good at, and how you can just sit there and execute a flywheel with them. New construction is going to be one of the most awesome parts of real estate for the next 2 years. New construction generally, these are national numbers, I don't know them locally. New construction generally makes up 8 to 11% of the total market in the US. New construction right now makes up between 14 to 20% of the whole US market. Why? Sellers are trapped with a 3% mortgage and they don't want to leave. That means flipping, building, developing, manufactured homes, cabins, whatever. Great opportunity for the next 24 to 36 months. Any other questions? That's it. Thoughts, ideas, concerns?
Thank you.
Okay, you're free.
Thank you.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to Christine, can you stay for this?
If it,
I can run through it real quick.
if it's somewhere near something you own, you have the opportunity to buy it. Because it is probably mostly worthless, but